Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for having me. Big data, just use it. Who doesn't want to have insight in what their customers are doing? Who doesn't want to have insight in the logistic processes? But who doesn't want to take action based on facts instead of gut feeling? But where to start and how to start? After my presentation, you will know much better how a couple of retailers are doing this, what they have learned, and you'll have a better insight in what you can do tomorrow. An angry man comes into the retail store. He says, I want to speak to the store manager. You're sending my daughter these ads for baby and pregnancy stuff. What do you think? She's in high school. The supermarket manager is a bit worried. He looks at the flyer and sees, yeah, it's from our company. Sorry, Mr. Customer, we made a mistake. 2 days later, the store manager calls again to make his apologies to the customer. The customer says, well, I have to make my apologies. In my house, something is going on more than I knew. This is an example how smart analytics can give an insight on what your customer is doing. But you can debate if it was a smart action to just send this kind of flyer. Okay. I want to introduce myself, very brief. My name is Frank Vullers. I'm an industry consultant for retail, and I'm helping customers with finding the value out in their data. I've been in the retail and CPG space for a long time, doing different kind of projects on analytics and data discovery. For my hobby, I try to do some running and try to do some playing on the saxophone. Brief on Teradata. Teradata is a company who wants to get the most value from your data. And we do that by providing ecosystems to collect data and to act on it via marketing applications. We do that via sector insight, via industry knowledge. And we do that with thought leadership on data analytics. What are we going to talk about today? I'm going to start with setting the scene, my vision on the big data or the data. Then I will tell you some customer cases, in this case about some retail customers, what they did with their data and what they achieved. Then some key learnings, and I would like to end with some things you could do tomorrow. Setting the scene. Big data is not new. I don't know if you recognize this. It's a clay tablet. It's already 3000 BC. And the nice thing is that you see here a jar, and that's the pictogram for beer. And it was for the first time that we couldn't cope with our mind, and we had to write down what the rations were for workers. It was also used to have stock of your goods and your weeds. Big data is not new. In 1986, Kmart, a US retailer, started to analyze POS data. And for the first time in history, they were able to use POS data to the full extent, instead of throwing it away, because there was too much data. They started with a Teradata machine, and they were able to analyze POS data to get an insight on what customers were doing. And of course, there is now a big data explosion. You can see the figures from IDC, the predictions about the future, how it's growing and the speed. McKinsey, for example, talks about the importance of big data for the gross national product of the US. And Gartner is talking about information systems you need to cope with this. And if you have a good information system, it will help you in becoming more competitive than your peer. Okay, we've seen big data is there and it's exploding. Now it's time to look at how are executives making decisions. And what we see here is a percentage on, from 0 to 100 to see how managers are taking decisions. It can be hard facts, it can be gut feelings. And in 1989, I don't know if you have any idea how many percentage would do hard facts, 10, 20, 40. In 98, 12% said, well, we take decisions based on hard facts, and the rest, belly feeling, gut feeling. The same survey was done in 2014, and I don't know if you know how the figures are there, and if you could raise your hand if you think it's much changed. I have to disappoint you. It's more or less the same. And it states it's not about the data, but it's about how you use it. So we are still have to get used in using data. What is new in the big data space is that we are seeing two different kinds of analytics. One is our traditional BI, and the other one is what we call discovery analytics, or experimenting. If you look at the traditional BI, then you see that we start with a business question. For example, who is our customer? How much profit do we make in our customers? Where are our customers? IT structures the data, captures the data that's needed, and comes with an answer. And we're doing this for years, very successful. We're having tools, statistical analysis, segmentation, marketing analytics, in providing these answers. It works very well. It gives us good insight in what customers are doing. But now we are on the brink and already busy with some new techniques, which we call discovery analytics. And discovery analytics starts with a different way. It starts not with the question, it starts with the data. So we say to IT, capture the data, capture all data, come with an infrastructure, store it, refine it. And then data scientists will go into the data and look if they can answer some questions. So it's the other way around. For example, they can see in the data when customers are moving away from your company. And then in the end, you come with a decision. It's a new way of looking at analytics. And you also have new tools for that. For example, you have path analysis, where you see how a customer moves over time in a process. We'll see an example of that later in my presentation. We also see text analysis, where you're gonna look into segmentation or look into text from social media and how the sentiment is. You will have graph analysis, where you see how products or people are tied together. And also some map-reduce visualization to make it more visible. And this discovery analytics doesn't replace the traditional BI, it's an add-on. We talked about big data and some new techniques. Now I would like to talk about 4 customer cases. The first one is from e-commerce who's analyzing web behavior. The second one is from a customer who is analyzing the sentiment on social media. The third one is from a retailer who's looking into their promotion data to see how products are sold together. And the last one from a retailer who's using Facebook data to enrich their customer segmentation. And let's start with the first case. There are 2 UK retailers who make the move from traditional mail order to e-commerce. And you can compare them with Wacom in the Netherlands. They're selling stuff over the internet. And when they move from mail order to e-commerce, they would like to know what is happening on the internet. How are customers interacting? What are customers doing on our website? Where are they clicking on? What are they looking at? And in order to do that, they start collecting detailed clickstream data, which is very detailed and goes much more in detail than Google Analytics can deliver. And with this detailed data, they are able to see how customers move over their website. For example, a part, they view a product, they add something in a basket, they abandon the bag, view the product again. So you can see how people are moving around. You can see when people are changing an address. You can see when people start browsing. You can also see when there are pages which contain an error. Maybe a button is missing for the shopping basket. And you can also see which are the common parts which most customers do. But what can you do with this information? Well, you can take certain actions. You can optimize your website so that there are no errors anymore. And you can also see what customers are doing and act on that. For example, if you see that a customer is browsing and doesn't buy, maybe you have to help him or send him some incentives. What they also did, they saw a lady browsing on the internet on their website for computers. She browsed several times, didn't buy. And what they did, they called her and said, well, we have some extra service offerings. We help people with some more difficult products to assemble. So you have to find some new ways to do that. Later on, I will go in some examples, but what it brought to these retailers was that it improved their sales. It gave them also a better insight in what customers were doing, so they can better address the needs of the customer. And it saved them on some marketing costs. One example is about browsers. There was a lady who has been a good customer for years, but this year she didn't buy anything. But when they looked into the data, they saw that she was looking at a Nintendo several times, but she did not buy it. So she was an active customer. No, she did not buy anything, but she was active on the website. So they thought, well, maybe it's too expensive. So what they tried with this customer was to say, well, if she could pay in terms, maybe we can help her. And that's what happened. She bought a Nintendo. But of course, you cannot do that for every customer. You have to automate these kind of rules. And that's what's happening. You're going to define some rules that say, okay, if customers browse on the internet, browse on your website, and check if they haven't bought anything, look then how you can help them and what you need to send them. And what you send them is, of course, personalized. It's based on the information you have. So you can send the customer, after a while, that he has looked to a certain product and give him an incentive to start buying. And it brought, in the end, some extra return compared with traditional emailing. What's also very important in e-commerce environment is the marketing cost. Retailers spend a load of marketing costs on different channels. It can be by banners, it can be paid per click, it can be on search for words, different kinds of channels. And by analyzing all the channels customers are going through, you can see which channels are more effective than the others. And by this you can see, okay, how can I attribute my marketing cost? Or should I optimize my words, my search words? And it helps you in shifting marketing costs from one channel to the other. And for these retailers, it also saved some money. And also nice is that per different product category, they were able to see what was the most effective marketing channel. This is another example, is where if you put something in your basket, but you don't buy it, they can also automate it and send you an email as a reminder. And what they found out is that for certain products, the best is to do an email after 6 days, and for certain product groups, you can do it better after 4 days. Also personalized, so that you get a personalized message and your item which you have looked at. The second case I want to talk about is also a UK retailer. In the UK and the US, they are a bit more advanced than the mainland. I didn't mention that. It's an advantage for the mainland because we can learn from our colleagues over there. This customer wants to have more information about what customers are saying about the brand or were saying about the product. But they also want to take into account how influential is my customer. If it's the customer who has a complaint and is not very influential, then I can handle it in a different way than if I have a customer who's much more influential and will influence other customers. So what they did, they extract sentiments from social media, on products, on service, on deliveries. But they also, and what they did then, they looked into the sentiments, so green is positive, red is negative sentiments. They also incorporated reviews, call center logs, and emails. And as I said before, they were able to understand what the power was of that customer in that environment. And it helped the retailer a lot to understand what people were saying about the brand. And what they could do with this information, they can do a much effectiver product recall. A lot of times you see when something is wrong with the product, when after a week after the sales, a lot of products are returned, but then it's too late. If you have an earlier indication that something's wrong with your product, you can react. You can maybe look at the product, stop the sales or change something. And the second thing is that customers come with recommendations about features they're missing or colors they're missing. You can incorporate it much easier and much faster. And if you know the strength of your influencer, you can also drive viral campaigns to drive sales. And it helped them in increasing profit, but also reduce costs of recalls, warranty, and other exposures. US retailer SuperValue is a food retailer. There's a lot of stores. They were collecting data for years, but they want to have more insight on what customers were doing during the promotion. And they tried to analyze that, but it didn't work out. So they used some new techniques, so what we call discovery analytics, to find out what is happening in a promotion. And what they did, they looked into how they looked at how products are reacted to each other, which product is selling very good, how is influencing the other product. And for this, they used graph analysis. And the nice thing about this is that you can make visual in a different way how products are related. And in this case, what we see here is the big bulbs are the promotion mechanics. So for example, I can do a promotion 2 for 1. I can do half price. I can do any 2 for $3. And the lines are how many items are sold for this promotion. And what's funny here, you see that this product, Comfort, reacts much better on 2 for 1 than on half price. Another insight you get is that this product, Felix Pouch, has a better cross-sell on these items. So with these kind of techniques, you can bring old data to life and give new insights. And this helped the retailer to better shape their promotion and better put items together in a promotion which were useful for the customer. And it helped them in better streamlining this. The fourth case is from a Japanese retailer, a catalog e-commerce retailer called Nissan. They're very big in Japan. They're sending out loads of catalogs. But they had a problem, or at least they thought that they didn't have enough information from their customers. Of course, they get the information when customers buy, they get the address, they get the region, but they want to have some more insights in who the real customer were. And in Japan, it's possible to extract Facebook data in a very forward way if they are fans. So what they did, they were able to extract variables from Facebook about the life stage of the customer, about what they're up to. So they added 200 variables to the customer, and it helped them in better segmenting the customer, not treating them just on the address, but treating them on the life stage or where they're living, what they were doing. And they also could find out preferences from friends of friends. And it helped them because they could personalize pages, but what they also could do, if they were hearing that customers who were having pets, that they were talking about it, they could send specially catalogs where they could sell pet stuff. Or if people were talking about moving, they could say, hey, listen, we have some special products, and they could send a special product or a special catalog only on this. What they also did, in Japan, it's very usual to give gifts to friends. And Nissan can help you in advising the gifts because they know what the preference of the friends of your friends. For us, maybe it sounds scary, but in Japan, it's normal to handle this kind of privacy stuff. One other thing which was also very interesting was that they valued customers. You have customers who buy once a year. You have customers who buy 3 times a year. Customers who buy once a year and are positive bring much more value than customers who buy only 3 times and don't talk about it. Okay, 6 minutes left. Some key learnings from 2 customers. The first one is Shop Direct, the UK mail order customer. They said, well, what's important from the business side is that you get an understanding of the value of the data. You need to see what insights it brings, what benefits it brings. Also to have a good case versus your CEO. Your CEO has to believe in it, he has to see value, and he has to defend it. But you also have to improve your data literacy. Gut feeling alone doesn't work anymore. You have to train people that they start using data as a starting point. Of course, they have to interpret it, but to start with the data. The second thing was involve IT. When you're collecting more data, it can put strain on your process, on your storage. So be aware that IT needs to be there so that the solution is scalable, agile, and adaptable. Second customer, SuperValue, the food retailer in the US. He says, well, it's important to have the right people, and they call it the internal rock stars, but that, of course, the people who are in all the projects. Look at their skills, but also train them. Train them on the new skills, and then get senior leadership on board, because it's nice that a project starts, or an adventure starts, but senior leadership has to preach and tell the rest of the organization that it's worth to do it. And teach new paradigm. Think from the data and not only from the belly. And the process should be fast and easy, because if you start with complex processes, nobody will use it. It's also easy to integrate. You should start easy and question everything. Be very critical if it's really new, if it really is adding value. On technology side, look for the right tool. If it's structured data, put it in a data warehouse. If it's maybe non-structured, a lot of data, maybe put it in Hadoop. But look for what's the best solution. There's not one size fits all. And connect existing tools you already have and automate the access. Don't spend too much time every time on getting the data into it, but spend some time on analyzing it. And the mindset, it's statistical. Find people who can think statistical, look for innovative problems and innovative solutions. Okay, we've seen what's happening at some retailers. We've seen in a nutshell what they are doing. Now I want to tell you something about what you can do today or tomorrow. If you go home, where can you start with? And I found a nice quote from Gartner. They say, big data strategy, don't do it. Start experimenting. And they have a three-step approach for that. They say, get inspired. Look outside. Go to conferences. Go to a big data expo. Look outside your own sector. Get inspired. Look, as I said, learn from other retailers, learn from other industries. Pick the right examples. Then go back home, talk about it, agree inside. Where should I work on? Should I work on operational effectiveness? Should I work on customer excellence, on risk mitigation? Think some cases where you can start working on. Get going. Look for people in your organization with skills. Look for the techniques you have or you can hire. And test and learn. Go with your data. Start using it. Even if you find answers in the beginning which are maybe obvious, at least you know it's there. And the third is get organized. Once you're busy, you find stuff in your data, create the right architecture, because it should be scalable in the end and repeatable. Link all your knowledge across the organization so that you can reuse it and use it, and take a bi-model approach. And Gartner means, well, you have your operational process, your operational IT, and separate on that, parallel, you have your sandbox or your experimentation environment. There you learn, and then you put it into the operational stream. And the good thing about this is that we as Teradata, we can help. We can help in getting you inspired. We can tell you customer stories. We can help you with data scientists get going, find value, and we can help with eco-infrastructure to get organized. That's the end of my presentation, and you have to remember only one thing, that is start using your data, and we can help you. Thank you.